Hello gorgeous, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new, and if you are new, it would mean so much if you guys hit the subscribe button to join my YouTube family. But today I am doing another video around how to save money, in particular how I save money to buy a house. These are going to be everything I did, so this is realistic ways to save money. I've done so many videos around this topic before, so I will link other ones I've done in the description box for you guys to go check out, so I totally recommend those ones. Recently just purchased my house and it is currently in the process of being built. It should be done by the end of the year. Because of the health crisis that was going on, it may be pushed a little, but I'm not too sure. So much has been done. It's crazy how fast it's going. So if you guys want to see an update and maybe a little house tour of what it looks like right now, let me know and ask any questions you may have. A lot of the times buying your dream house now has become seen as just that, a dream. I live in Toronto, Canada. With the real estate market skyrocketing and wages staying stagnant, it has become a lot more difficult for millennials to be able to buy and own a home. It is actually at an all-time low rate of home ownership for millennials and younger. Although it has become a lot more difficult, with the right strategy, it is achievable. You will be able to save money for a house or whatever your goal is or what you want to save money for. This could be useful for really saving money for anything. So I hope this is helpful. Thumbs it up if it is, share it if it helps you out. If you want to talk to me more, you can also follow me on my Instagram at NICOLETTAXO. With that being said, let's just jump right into the video. So before I jump right into my tips, I just wanted to say, when buying a house, you really want to aim to save at least 20% of down payment for your house. By having at least 20% of your house asking price saved up, you'll likely be able to avoid buying mortgage insurance, and as well as you're more likely to get those favorable rates. Mortgage insurance is so expensive, so you really want to have 20% down payment. On that note, let's get into the actual tips on how to save that money. And the first tip is really basic, but I had to put it out as the first tip, and that is just to start right now as soon as possible. Of course, the younger you see this and the younger you start saving, you're going to thank your younger self when you're older. But no matter what age you are, it's important to start right now at this moment. A lot of the times we make excuses like, oh, it's way too far, it's so impossible. But if you keep saying that, you're just going farther and farther away from your dream. And the first thing you could do with starting right now is just open a savings account. It's a lot easier to have your savings money in a certain account and your money you use for bills in another account, as opposed to having it all together. I find that it's also a lot less tempting. And that being said, when you do open an account for savings, there's actually a lot of things you could do with your bank. Of course, this is going to differ from country to country and from bank to bank and from individual to individual. Like I said, I live in Toronto, Canada, so I can only speak for myself, but something that you could do is open a tax-free savings account. That's a great place to start because you're not going to have to pay any tax or anything on that money that you have in that account. There is, of course, going to be a limit on how much can go into your tax-free savings account. Of course, ask your financial advisor at your bank about this. Get to know what accounts there are, what your bank can do for you. With bank accounts, another tip I have is GIC. A GIC stands for a Guaranteed Investment Certificate. So a lot of the times when people have money, you always hear about people kind of investing their money into things. Some people really get into investing in the stocks, though that can be really risky if you don't really know what you're doing. But a lot of people have built so much money in the stock market and really flourish in that area. But if you're not too familiar with that, an easy way to just make more on the money you already have is to open GIC accounts. So ask your bank all about it. A GIC is a safe and secure investment with very little risk. So like I said, stock markets can have that risk, while GIC, you really don't have much risk to it. You don't have to worry about losing your money because your money is guaranteed. A GIC works like a savings account where you deposit your money and you earn interest on it. So typically you'll have to keep your money in for a certain amount of time. So whatever you decided to lock your money in, whether it's for 6 months, a year, 2 years, or even up to 5 years. And of course it's gonna differ because rates are always changing. There's sometimes really good interest rates, sometimes they're not so good. So you really wanna keep up with that and talk to your advisor at your bank. They're gonna give you the best tips, and then you can determine how long you wanna have your GIC and at what interest rate you're gonna lock it in. Pretty much when you have that GIC though, and why you get interest on that money is because you're pretty much allowing then the bank to use your money. So you're lending your money to the bank, they're allowed to use it for that specific period of time, and you get interest on it. And when the GIC is done, you can either lock your money back into another GIC with a different rate for a different amount of time, or you could just not go back into a GIC and keep your account open. If you always feel tempted to check a savings account, this is really gonna help you because you can't touch that money. For the most part, if you take your money out of the GIC before the GIC is done, so before, let's say, the 6 months, then usually you have to pay a penalty or you don't get that interest that you were getting at all. So it really motivates you to not touch that money until your GIC is at least done. And it also is great to think that you don't have that money. It's always important to not focus on that savings money because you could get tempted to just go ahead and go on like a shopping spree or spend that. If your goal is a house, you want to keep that for just your house and you don't want to see that money as money to spend. And that leads me to tip number 3, which is to cut down on unnecessary expenses. So it's important to go through your bills and see how much money you're spending on unnecessary things. Saving for any sort of down payment does take sacrifice. So cutting little expenses here and there is really going to make a big difference. Really think about it. Is it a need or is it a want? And that is something that I started doing. I started really looking into, do I really need this thing? Is it really gonna do anything, or is it just because I want it in the moment and I'm not gonna care about it 6 months from now? That's always a great question to ask before going ahead and making these little unnecessary purchases that really don't bring anything to our life. And in the end, you're gonna kind of regret it because you're gonna wish you saved that money for that bigger goal that we have in life, which is to buy a house or whatever your big goal is in your life. Tip number 4 is to use cash for most of your daily interactions. And this is something I really did live by and still live by. Sometimes, you know, if you have a really big purchase, I recommend using a credit card. That's what I typically do. But when it comes to our daily life, I, for the most part, use money to buy things. You're a lot more mindful when you're paying with cash as opposed to swiping a card. A lot of the times when we swipe cards, it just doesn't really register to us that we're spending so much money and we tend to forget. Giving yourself a certain amount of cash, and whether that's for a weekly budget or a monthly budget, is really gonna allow you to be accountable for the money that you're spending. Tip number 5 is add large lump sums of money into your savings account. It is great, you know, to add little money here and there, even if it's just $10 or $5 or $100. It's always great to continuously do this, but it's also great to save large lump sums of money at a time whenever you can, because that's obviously gonna make you save faster and you're gonna see your bank account growing and growing. So you could do this so many different times. Let's say you get a tax return. Instead of seeing that money as, ooh, I can go shopping, go on a little spree, or I can use this for this or that, put that money into your bank account, into your savings account for you not to touch. Or let's say you get a bonus from work. Any sort of cash gift that you get, just add that directly into your savings account, or at least add most of it into your savings account. Because adding these large lump sums is what's gonna make you save faster. And a lot of the times we're used to not having that money in our life anyways because we are living off, you know, our jobs that we have for the most part. And that leads me to tip number 6, which is to get a side hustle. I've talked all about side hustles. I will link my video above as well as in the description box. There's a ton of side hustles you can do now, and that is something that I feel like is really important and really gonna get you to the next level of saving even more. Of course, it's always great to have so many streams of income coming in. Growing up, I kind of always had more than one income coming in. When I was about to turn 16, I got my first real job. Not long after that, when I was about 18 turning 19, I got my other jobs. I was a mental health worker and then I was also a gymnastics coach, and I kept both jobs while I was going to school. And then near the end of my school, I added YouTube on top of those 2 jobs. When I first started YouTube, I wasn't really making much, but then after a year or so, I started making a little bit of money here and there, and that money always just went right into my savings because it was kind of like extra money. I was working more on my salary at the mental health job, so I kind of always had more than one job, though sometimes, you know, it's not realistic to have more than one job, especially if you're working like a 9-to-5 job. There's a lot of side hustles that you could do straight from your home online, and that's gonna give you extra cash. You could do any sort of freelance work. If you have a skill, try to monetize on it. Try and find a way that you can make money on something you enjoy, just so you get that extra little bit of income coming in. Something I've been doing recently, which I've done videos on it completely, so if you want me to go more in detail on how you can do it, I've been working on the app Poshmark. It's a reselling app, so you can sell gently used to brand new items on there, whether it's clothing, home decor, accessories, you name it. And I've been really enjoying that, and it's kind of extra cash. And even you watching this right now, you can even use this just to sell your old clothes, or a lot of people make it into a part-time or like full-time job and make it into a lucrative form of income. So I do have a code, NICOLETTAXO. If you download the app now and use my code, you get $15 Canadian and $10 American. It's different due to our currencies, of course. That's really great. I totally recommend everyone to try that app. I'm not being sponsored. I've never been sponsored by Poshmark. It's just something I've been doing kind of as my side gig, and I recommend it to literally anyone, even if you just want to sell your old clothes and make extra cash. And like I said, I've done videos all around Poshmark, so if you want more details on how I made it into a little side gig and how I make money on that app, then I totally recommend watching those videos as well. The more that you can get more money is obviously gonna make you save faster. It's always great to add a little bit more income into your year. Tip number 7, I know may not be ideal or even realistic for some people, but that is to move in with your parents. Of course, like I said, you might not be able to move in with your parents. If you can, I totally recommend doing it, or at least taking advantage of the time that you do have in your parents' house, because that is the time you're gonna save the most money. Once you move out, you're gonna get a ton of bills, and you're not gonna have that luxury anymore of being able to save as much as you can, but it is still possible. Tip number 8 is look for cheaper ways to do things. I always try to find a cheaper way for the most part for most things, because a lot of things I just realize are so unnecessary to buy things full price or do all these things that really in the end is kind of makes you really happy in the moment and then doesn't really do much for you later on. Ask yourself, do you buy a lot of clothes? Do you go out to movies way too much? Do you eat out too much? Do you spend too much money on hobbies? Whatever the case may be, look at that and find ways that you can go around it, or you could get a cheaper option. It's always important to ask yourself those questions. I really liked buying clothes a lot. I've become so much better at this, and I don't just go ahead and buy crazy amounts of clothes now. I've also sold a lot of my clothes now, and shoes, which I had way too many on my Poshmark. I do sell my clothes because I just realized that I wasted so much money on clothes that made me really happy in the moment, and then I didn't wear them sometimes. You can still look cute and have really nice things, but without buying it with that full priced tag on it. And you could do that by going for discount stores, or as well, Poshmark is not only great to use yourself to sell, but also buy things, because you're gonna find something for like a quarter of the price or a fraction of the price. And you don't necessarily have to always buy things that are gently used on Poshmark. They have so many items on Poshmark that are new with tags, and you're paying like a fraction of the price than you would if you went into the actual store. So always try and find those discounts that you can. And let's say items we have to buy. So we have to buy, you know, food, we have to buy hygiene products. I recommend using cashback sites. I use the site Rakuten. I will link my referral link down below for you guys to sign up. I believe if you sign up, you get money back once you make your first purchase on it, but they have hundreds of stores. They have like Walmart, they have Pandora, Lululemon, I believe they have Amazon on there, they have Nordstrom, they have every store you probably shop at on there. So if you're already gonna buy something, then you might as well buy it through a cashback site so that you make money back on your purchase. So even if you buy groceries online on Walmart, you might as well make some cash back because you're already gonna have to buy it. It's literally free to sign up. I've been using this for probably 2 years now, and they pay you certain times, and they'll either pay you through a check or through PayPal. They might do bank wire transfer, but it depends what you set it up for. Finding those loopholes and finding ways that you could save as much as possible anywhere you can. Tip number 9 is to cut down on credit cards. So first things first, if you are in credit card debt, I totally recommend paying off your credit cards first before saving. Credit cards really get you on interest. Furthermore, something that I recently did is I only have one credit card now. I got rid of all my other credit cards. A lot of the times credit cards charge you a yearly fee for them. I've seen people have like 8-10 different credit cards, and they rack up all their credit cards and they're in so much debt, and then they're getting charged so much interest rates, and it's just an ongoing horrible cycle, and it puts people in really bad financial situations. So it's great to just have as minimal amount of credit cards as you can. And that leads me to tip number 10, which is to lower any bills that you can. So like I said, we've already talked now about things that we want, but we don't necessarily need. Now, my tip is to also look at the bills that you have to pay that come out every single month. Shop around, kind of research, and see if you can make any of your bills a little bit cheaper. Whether you have rent, for example, rent is so expensive now. In Toronto, the average rent, 1-bedroom condo, $2,300 a month. For a 1-bedroom, small little condo. It has gone up so much, it's crazy. To have a 2-bedroom, it's even more than that. So really shopping around and seeing how you can make your lifestyle cheaper and find maybe a cheaper option for rent, maybe find a roommate that would go in 50-50, even if it's your cell phone bill or your insurance for your car, or let's say your gym membership if you have one. Shop around, see if there's a better option out there for you. So trying to find things that are gonna make your bills, your monthly bills cheaper, and in the end, it's gonna make you be able to save more, and it's also gonna be less stressful, so you're not living as much paycheck to paycheck. You really want to try and live within your means so that you can still save, but you can live comfortably. These were all my tips and tricks on how I was able to buy a house. If you have any more questions, you can also follow me on Instagram at NICOLETTAXO. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. I would love for you guys to join. I do upload every single week. And on that note, I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!